one other, whom grace would again bless. A tarnished of no renown. Cross the fog to the lands between, to stand before the Elden Ring and become the Elden Lord.
Hello, fellow Tarnished. I see they found themselves here in my library. Was thee lured here by the guidance of grace, or something more chaotic? It matters not. Thy Tarnished of all sort are welcome here. Come, sit with me at this site of grace, and you can hear mine ramblings about Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, a game that received perfect 10s across the board within a sea of incomplete games. A game that pushes the boundaries in multiple facets. A game that I have sunk over 400 hours into. An absolute masterpiece. Alright, that's a wrap, folks! In all seriousness, previously, I have only played Dark Souls 1 and 2, and spent about 30 minutes on each game. I had an absolutely terrible experience with those games back when they first released, and did not give them another chance. With these feelings in mind, I was very much on the fence to pick up Elden Ring and give it a play. On one hand, we haven't seen a good open-world fantasy title since the likes of Skyrim back in 2011, and this aspect intrigued me. On the other, however, I remembered how much of a terrible time I had with the Dark Souls series. What ultimately pushed me to pick this game up and give it a try was a good friend of mine. I was over at his place and we were enjoying some of the finer things in life when he played Elden Ring. He was at Stormhill and fighting some trolls. I watched some of the pretty insane combat and deft dodging that he was employing to defeat them. I was pretty amazed at the scope of the game overall, so I knew I had to try it out. I went home and bought it the same day. Once the download completed, I immediately booted it up on PC and had no idea what I was doing. I gave myself a stone sword key as my keepsake and chose the bandit class to begin. Boy, what a rough class to start with, am I right? I skipped the tutorial area and noticed the imp statues through the first door. I unlocked it and jumped right in, thinking that this is where the first dungeon was. I spent the first hour of my playthrough trying to get through this place miserably. Once I finally got to the end, my great knife barely damaged the ulcerated tree spirit, but I really wanted to beat the first dungeon. I spent another hour trying to kill it and ultimately failed. Multiple times I wanted to stop playing altogether, but I instead put it up for the day and wanted to try to tackle the game when I had a fresh mind. New day, fresh mind. When I booted it up the following day, I thought to myself, wait, if this area was locked and I didn't give myself a key for it, it would be inaccessible to new players. Maybe I shouldn't be here yet, and decided to venture out into the game. Now, I know the tree sentinel right outside is supposed to teach you the lesson of, lol, you're weak, come back later. But the Fringe Folk Hero's Grave does a similar thing if you end up heading in there as a new player. I just chalk my stubbornness to get through it up to being tired. But I am sure glad that I decided to give the game a further chance. The open world of the Lands Between is one of compelling intrigue. From the lush greens of Limgrave and constant rain of Weeping Peninsula, the captivatingly vast lake and unique architecture of Lyrinia, the absolutely disgusting Aeonian swampland of Caelid, the golden fields and mysterious nature of Altus Plateau, the treacherous volcano terrain of Mount Gelmir, the awe-inspiring beauty and dread of the underground, the cold and isolated mountaintops of the Giants, the tainted and terrifying Halleck Tree, and who could forget the Erd Tree itself, enormous, golden, and housed right in the capital city of Lindell. Every locale in the game has treasures to find, bosses to kill, beautiful sights to see, and hidden lore to uncover. If I had just given up, I would not have been able to experience the work of art being presented. Right off the bat, I want to sing praises for the combat in this game. When I first started playing, I thought the combat was terrible because enemies hit for so much more damage than I was used to, and the enemy AI was smarter than I was used to. That said, once I figured out shields existed, I started blocking and utilizing guard counters. I figured out power stancing and two-handing mechanics for additional damage output, and learned to mix heavy attacks with light attacks for an optimal strategy. The combat in this game is a lethal and beautiful dance that feels so incredibly satisfying to engage in. I feel it is actually one of the most attractive factors in this game. Another huge plus about this game is the vast, varied, and compelling world. There are many locales that I have brought up in the beginning of this video, but there are countless things to find throughout the Lands Between. If you're looking for treasure, bosses, or even to explore to take in the beautiful sights, Elden Ring has something captivating to throw at you. Another good point is the lack of hand-holding in this game. Sure, there's a tutorial dungeon at the beginning of the game, but it's skippable. As a matter of fact, I never entered into that tutorial area my very first playthrough. Quest lines are also a bit on the open-ended side, and actually doesn't give you endless waypoints and pop-ups when you progress a quest or finish one. It keeps the level of immersion from dipping while you make your way through the Lands Between. As we all know, nothing is perfect. Even this seemingly perfect game that got 10s across the board. Though this game has very few game-breaking bugs, they are present. For instance, just look at Alexander here. After I defeated the boss of this area, he continues to remain here, filling his body with the dead for the rest of time. Oh, you wanted him to help you with something late game? Nah, I'ma stay here, fam. Have you ever had a Fara Missoula Beastman attack you through a wall? Have you ever had enemies attack you through a fog gate? You may be entitled to compensation. Yes, the fact that enemies can just attack you through walls and terrain is one of the biggest shortcomings of this game, and it feels like bullshit. But it isn't my biggest problem with this game. Torrent, the spectral steed, is actually my least favorite thing in this game. He handles like spectral steed shit. Gets you killed constantly. And if he ever dies, you have to complete a CAPTCHA just to revive him. Sure, Torrent may be your fastest mode of travel outside of fast traveling, but God, can some of these things that happen with Torrent be annoying to the point it takes you out of the immersion. Want to face a certain direction while standing idle? Good fucking luck with that. Oh, you need to do some accurate platforming with Torrent? You're sometimes better off just getting off Torrent to do it on foot. Well, so much for that too. Torrent is easily the worst feature of the game and one of the worst mounts I have ever had the displeasure of riding. He isn't all bad, but those bad moments really make the experience frustrating and not fun when it happens to you. Overall, this game truly is a masterpiece with some flaws that cannot be overlooked. That said, just look at Skyrim. Another absolute fucking masterpiece, with glaring flaws that people still adore and remember. However, I never thought a game not made by Bethesda would make Skyrim feel obsolete. Elden Ring is the next open-world fantasy ARPG of our time. Sure, it isn't perfect, but it is a rewarding and wonderful experience that I think many people who enjoy the genre should play through. It has gotten me to the point where I actually may go back and give Dark Souls another chance, now that I understand this beautiful formula FromSoft has given us. I will be shocked if Elden Ring is not 2022 Game of the Year. With all my pros and all my gripes, I give this game a 9 out of 10.
Hello again, Tarnished. I must thank you for tuning in and listening to mine ramblings of Elden Ring. Did you enjoy my review of the game? If you did, slap that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell for more videos like this in the future. I must thank all of you for coming here to my library to hear my story. Anyway, Tarnished, have a wonderful day, and see you next time.